What's up, guys? So the other day I asked in my training alumni group, what type of content do you guys want to see me put out? It can be anything from shooting, guns, gear, anything shooting related, training related. What do you guys want to see? There were a lot of comments on there, but one of them in particular kind of struck me as something that I thought would be a really good topic to cover. He asked, if you set up standards or a specific drill, what does it look like when you get good hits? What are we looking for times, etc.? So today I want to set up a couple drills here and talk to you guys about how I go about assessing training. All right, so the drill that we've got set up is a simple accelerator drill. For those of you guys that don't know what an accelerator drill is, we've got a 25-yard target, a 15-yard target, and a 7-yard target. You can start on the front target, middle, back, doesn't really matter. You're gonna shoot all three of those, do a reload, and then shoot all three of those again. Now, I think part of successfully assessing training and how things are going in your training is more than just looking at times and hits, okay? I think that you can get to a certain point just doing that, but I think if that's all you do in terms of assessing your training, I think you'll end up plateauing pretty early. Again, not saying that you can't get good doing that, you certainly can, but training should be more than just looking at times and hits. So here's the thing, if we only look at times and hits, you will simply just chase those times and hits, right? This is a longer route than looking at specific things and trying to isolate those specific things in your dry fire. This way, when you come out in live fire, you can check up on those things that you've been trying to isolate and then see exactly how your training is going. To me, it's a lot smarter way, and to me, it's a lot shorter road to get better than it would be if you were just looking at times and hits. Okay, so accelerator drill, things that I personally would be looking for on something like this. Number one is going to be the confirmation levels, right? We talk about this in class, but 3 different type of confirmation levels. Confirmation 1 would be on this first target here at 7. Confirmation 1 would be something like a gross sight picture. So as soon as I draw, right, I get a flick of red over the spot that I'm trying to hit and press the trigger twice. Confirmation 2 would be that 15-yard target, okay? Confirmation 2 would be like, as soon as you look at that spot and you get like a little bit more than just a flick of red, right? I see kind of like a slash of red. The red slash is going a little bit slower than it was on this first target, okay? That would be like confirmation 2. Confirmation 3 would be like, I would use on that 25-yard target, a completely stopped dot. I need a completely stopped dot to be able to shoot accurately on that. So confirmation levels, am I using appropriate confirmation levels on that, okay? One really easy one to look at would be, how's my grip throughout this whole thing, okay? Was my grip the exact grip that I wanted on the draw, okay? And if it was, did it stay that way throughout the drill? I think a lot of the times when people draw the gun and they'll start shooting 5, 6, 7, in this case 12 rounds, I think after about round number 4 to 5, the support hand starts coming off of the gun, loosening up, and then the firing hand starts taking over. And when the firing hand takes over, then you start pressing the trigger with your entire hand. Another thing to look at with grip is after your reload, and to me this is even more important than getting a really fast reload. After your reload, did you get the grip that you wanted, right? Something to definitely pay attention to there. Another thing to pay attention to, were you target focused? On these transitions like this, it's pretty easy transitions, like the targets aren't spaced very far apart in terms of width. They're basically almost right in back of each other. But were your eyes getting to the spot that you were trying to bring the dot to and trying to hit? A lot of you guys know in my classes, we'll talk about like the first part of aiming has to do with getting your eyes to a specific spot. The first part of aiming has an element to it where the gun isn't even involved yet. The gun is still on its way to that target, whether it's a draw, whether it's a transition. Eyes are picking out a small spot. All right, there's the spot that I'm going to put the dot, and as soon as the dot touches it, I should be able to fire the shot. This means the eyes have to get to the target before the gun, right? The eyes should 100% beat the gun there every single time, and if they're not, then the aiming process looks very, very different. And the way that the aiming process looks, if the gun gets there before the vision, what's going to happen is the gun will get there, then your eyes, and then you're going to have to process. Processing speed usually is about 0.15 to 0.2. Then you'll have to process, clean up the dot a little bit, or you're going to underdrive or overdrive the target, drag on, drag off, and you're not going to be accurate. Neither of those two I would call good shooting, right? So eyes to the target first, because the first part of the aiming process has to do with the vision. Okay, next. I think one of the best ways to assess your training is, what is your cold performance like? If you've shot 200 to 300 rounds throughout the range session that you're doing, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 200, 300, 400 rounds, whatever, 1,000 rounds, great. The time to assess your training is not at the end of that session. It's at the very, very beginning. What is your actual cold performance like? Now, before I even shoot this, I will dry fire it, right? Let's see where my draw is, see where my reloads are, what is my grip like, am I getting my eyes to the target first? This makes sense to dry fire things before you live fire them, because if you just open up and just live fire this right out of the gate, to me it's just not a really smart way to train, because you could be getting some reps in before you actually go to the live fire part. Now, I'm not saying, you know, dry fire this thing for an hour. Dry fire it for a couple minutes, right? See where you're at in terms of grip, vision, all that stuff. Then start to spend your money by putting bullets in the gun, all right? So let's see what that looks like for me. No bullets in the gun, but I do have a full mag, which is totally fine by me because I'm outside. We'll start on this front target and then see what it's like, front to back. This is why we dry fire, right? Super crappy grip right out of the gate, crappy reload. Let's hammer some of this stuff out before we actually go to live fire. Okay, better mechanics wise. I need to get my eyes to that 25-yard target a little bit sooner. Again, things to look for and assess. Okay, all right, that felt pretty good. Let's see how it goes for live fire. Okay. All right, bobbled the reload. Back target got a little messy. Front target, all alphas. Middle target, all alphas. And then I've got 4 Charlies on the back target. Definitely need to get my eyes there sooner and to the center and be a little bit more picky with how I press the trigger. Still slapping the trigger, but I'm going to press it carefully. Carefully slap. Much better on the accuracy department. All alphas there. Okay, that was a 608. All right. Definitely feel like I can step on the gas a little bit more on the first 2 targets. I feel like I'm kind of over confirming on them. better. Looking to small spots that time. That worked out pretty well, just the reload wasn't that great. Okay. One more, and then I will go ahead and show you guys the hits, and we'll patch all these up, and I'll probably run it back to front. All right, so if this is how your training is going, right off the bat, and by the way, I haven't shot at all today, it was totally cold performance. The first thing that like totally jumps out to me is the reload piece, right? The reloads are not going very well for me. So if it's, you know, if something like this is happening to you, what I would recommend, and probably what I'm about to do right now for a second, is hit some dry fire reloads, right? There's no need to keep hammering on this with bullets if the reload isn't going well, right? Reloads are something that we can just hammer out and dry fire and shouldn't cost us a thing. Okay, there's no need to like spend money on ammo for reloads because it's just a simple mechanic, right? So, show you guys the hits. Drop 2 Charlies on that. By the way, I think that in training, if you are only shooting alphas, you are probably not doing things correctly. 1, 2, 3 Charlies. Okay. If you're only shooting alphas, okay, to me, you're not really pushing and you're kind of staying in your comfort level. Okay, and if you're staying in your comfort level, chances of you getting better are pretty slim. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Charlies out of that one. So definitely need to clean this target up a little bit, but for cold performance, not too bad. Again, if we're assessing training and this type of drill specifically that we have set up, things that I'm going to start hammering on, definitely reloads in my dry fire, right? Maybe you do it now, maybe you don't. Personally, I'm gonna go ahead and hammer out some dry fire reloads right now. And I would say also, I need to hammer on some of the accuracy stuff, getting my eyes to that 25-yard target and picking a small spot and not allowing the dot to kind of catch my attention. I think something that people do very, very common on 25-yard targets is, since it's a 25-yard target and the dot is no longer just coming up to the top of the A zone, it actually lifts off the target. I think the dot catches their attention. It's really easy to bounce your eyes from the spot that you're trying to hit to the dot, like back and forth. And that's kind of when you see accuracy kind of go downhill. So I'm gonna hammer on those things real quick, tape these targets up, and then run it a completely different way. I'll be right back. All right, hit some reloads, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. I think part of the problem was I just wasn't aiming the mag well at the fresh source of ammunition. So things seem to be going a little smoother now. But again, like, it's stuff like this that we're trying to assess in training. And it's stuff like this, like going about it the smart way instead of just going like, oh, my time was this, I need to get my draw faster. My time was this, I need to get my like, training should be way more than that, okay? So again, this is just how we're going about assessing training. All right, so same exact drill setup, but I'm gonna start on the back target first. Reload, and then work our way back. All right. There we go. Dropped 1 Charlie on the 25-yard. Alphas on everything else. Felt pretty decent. Try it again. Reload was decent. Okay. Mucho better. starting to hit the reload much, much faster. Now, one thing that you guys need to be aware of, as soon as you start hitting reloads or draws a whole lot faster, your vision needs to keep up with the processing piece of it. This is why it's super important to like dry fire at full speed all the time. So, just a quick note there. You don't want to come out to the range and be like, man, that's the fastest I've ever reloaded, and then the vision just doesn't keep up with the actual hand speed. That's bad. There we go. Shoot it one more time. I think one other thing that we should definitely be aware of when we train, if we're trying to assess training smartly, is to not have, 10 drills in mind when you come out to the range. Have one or two. Have one or two and be able to get, a bunch of reps on those specific ones. This way you can actually isolate, a lot of the things that you're getting out of training, whether it's your grip, whether it's vision, mechanics, whatever. It's not smart to come out and do, hey, I have 100 rounds, I'm gonna do 10 different drills. Like, not smart at all. So keep it to one or two drills and try to assess your way through things. Think about it, how things are going, how's the gun behaving, all that stuff. Can't end on that one, can we? Definitely gonna hammer on some more reloads and some dry fire. It's something that I don't do a lot of. Also, hands are getting sweaty, starting to see bullets try to creep up high on that 25-yard target. And I think that is 100% having to do with hands being sweaty, kind of slipping around. So another thing for me to pay attention to here, I could go put more Pro Grip on my hands, but I'm not. Just try to do the thing. There we go. All alphas on that one. Everything looked very, very good visually. The gun was landing very, very precisely on the spots that I was looking for. Hit the reload like I wanted to. Grip felt great. Draw felt great. This is the stuff that we need to be looking at in training. And notice a lot of the time I didn't even look at the timer, like what the actual time was. I think looking at the timer or shooting stuff like standards, totally fine, but use that stuff like a test, okay? If we're gonna shoot standards, shoot something like this, work on specific aspects of your shooting, try to, assess them without any sort of bias, right? Because it is you shooting it, so you're gonna wanna like it. Try to use very, very little bias in how it's actually going for you, and then go use a standard for like a test, right? I have standards, lots of people have standards, but I would encourage you guys not to just hammer on my standards, or not to hammer on anyone's standards for that matter. Hammer on the actual isolated aspects of whatever it is that's going on in that standard, and then go shoot the standard as a test. But don't judge your entire range performance on some sort of standard, right? You need to be assessing things a lot deeper than that. So I dropped 1, 2, 3, 4 Charlies on that one. That's fairly tidy target. 4 Charlies, 5 Charlies. Or is that a Charlie? Yeah, we'll call it a Charlie. 5 Charlies on that one. Fairly tidy though. Lots of rounds in the center of that thing. Now, here's where I was talking about. I felt my grip sliding around, and since it was sliding around, we've got some higher shots here. So for me, how I go about assessing training and where do I go from here for the rest of the range day, because I believe I shot, I don't know, maybe 70, 80 rounds. I'm gonna shoot probably 200 rounds this morning. It's super hot. I'm not gonna sit out here and bang away. Where do I go from here? For me, the reloads were definitely something that needed work. I could do that dry fire. the thing that really stuck out to me was getting my vision to this far target. So I'm probably gonna set up something like, you know, put 3 25-yard targets, draw, shoot all 3, and try my best to get the best possible scores I can get. Meaning trying to get the vast majority of the points on that, trying to shoot alphas. What do I need to do to shoot alphas fast and accurately? So, working on confirmation levels, working on getting my vision to the center of this thing. What does all that look like while I'm doing it? Hopefully this helps, guys, and hopefully this wasn't too autistic type of shooting video. I know this is like major shooting nerd stuff, but I see a lot of people, you know, just try to hammer on drills, and at the end of the day, if you do that, yes, you may be good, but you're just getting good by default, right? You're just getting good at a specific drill, not specific skills. We're after shooting skills here, right? Skills, not drills. And the way that you get better at skills is to really pay attention to some of the key points and try to assess your training as fairly and as unbiased as you possibly can. Hopefully that helps. Questions, comments, drop them in the comment box below.